Crookshanks is like the
I
MVP
suppose.
of this whole book, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So we know that Crookshanks is half Kneasel, right? And that's why
Mm-hmm.
he's so intelligent. What sort of powers, I'm using powers, air quotes, do we think he has beyond being able to understand humans? He doesn't really seem extra magical other than the fact that he can understand human speech and act on it.
There's like
I
a grasp of truth, right? With Kneasels, like historic, like in legend, is that? I think that's a thing with Kneasels. They have a grasp of what is the truth, which I suppose is why Crookshanks just is inclined to believe and trust Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
I also have always kind of like associated Crookshanks as like similar to the cat from Coraline. If anyone understands, like in the other world, it has like significant intelligence and like ability to speak, and like can kind of like not teleport, but like sneakily phase in and out. I kind of imagine Crookshanks kind of like popping like in and out, like kind of like the kind of way like how a cat like disappears, but like more magically, I guess, in this aspect. That's always kind of how like that was like they always were kind of one and the same in my head. So that's my association.
As far as Crookshanks' abilities, for me, it all depends on how he knew about Pettigrew. Like it seems like he always knew that something was up with the rat. Like something just wasn't right. So if he never saw Peter transform or de-transform, then I think that would mean that Crookshanks has some type of like extrasensory ability to like feel magic, kind of like Dumbledore is in the lake, where like magic always leaves a spot or magic always leaves a trace. Where Crookshanks knows something magical is happening with that rat and it's not right. But the other part is if he doesn't have that, then he probably just saw Peter transform and de-transform it, transform and de-transform, transform one way or transform the other way in the dorm room. So I like the idea that Crookshanks doesn't actually have any extra abilities, but it's just that he was in the boys' dormitory and he just saw Peter hanging out on Ron's bed one day.
Oh my God! Do you
And then
think
it was
he
like,
did
oh,
that?
and then he turned
No
back
way,
into a rat.
Peter did
That's
that.
how he
That's
knew.
way too risky, right?
Oh, he
Could
has
you
to have a
imagine
wand.
just like Dean and Seamus coming back up to the dorm, and like Peter's just
Well-
there on Ron's bed, just like having a nap.
That, yeah, that wild. I mean, how old are the Marauders now? They're in their
Ooh.
30s.
30s. Yeah, I think.
Well, it's like that circulating thing about like why did they not see Peter Pettigrew on the Marauders map like sleeping?
Yeah.
That's old
next to
news.
Ron, I guess. No, but like that's always what I think of. I'm like, like that's again, it's like, ugh, when you think about it really too deeply, and I don't. It's you
Yeah.
try not to think about that aspect of it.
That
Yeah.
was an oversight.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, So when we first meet Crookshanks, when they are in the magical menagerie, he immediately, like pretty immediately, jumps on Scabbers, right? Because that's when Ron loses him and they have to go find him, right? Remembering that correctly. So I feel like it has to be some sort of BS meter, for
Yeah,
lack
I like
of a
that.
better lack of
Can
a
we
better
argue
term.
it's like how animals can sense like the supernatural, like how like if your dog is barking at a random spot in the room for a prolonged period of time, people say like could be linked to the presence of a spirit kind of thing. How like they have like kind of more of a in tuneness to like spiritual aspects.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
do you
nothing I
think that
hate
would-
more than when I'm sitting on the couch with my cats and all of a sudden they both turn and go. And I'm afraid to look because I'm like, is an axe murderer there gonna kill me?
It makes
It's
me
Do you
so
think that would
terrifying.
come
nervous.
into play in a world where ghosts are like commonplace?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, like we don't see Crookshanks going after nearly headless Nick in the same way? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think I meant like ghosts literally in this circumstance because obviously they're also a lot more like animate than our version of what we consider to be
Sure.
supernatural.
So sort of like Josh was saying that like magic leaves a trace, and if there's
Exactly.
more
yeah.
powerful magic happening, Crookshanks can sort of sense that. And I would argue that someone being an animagus secretly would
Mhm.
be a that would leave a pretty big magical footprint.
Yeah.
I
I
would
wonder if it has
assume.
like a smell or something like
I mean,
prolonged use like has like a smell to it that animals
yeah.
can smell. That would be like wild.
Well,
Wow.
we know that animals can sense like when like tsunamis are coming and earthquakes and that kind of stuff.
Can they
So,
really?
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Oh wow!
Same way they can sense seizures.
Yeah, that one
I
I
did
knew.
not know that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, then if you take a magical Kneasel and mix it with a cat that already has a heightened sense of, I guess, sensory, um,
Hmm.
you would imagine that they would be able to sense magic, even if it's small enough emitted through an animagus.
That makes sense. So then, do we think that when the Marauders transform, do they then have a heightened sense? Do they take on all of those animal? Obviously, they take on the animal characteristics, but would they be able to feel the tsunami and things? Or is it just the shell? I know we've talked about animagus many times, but yeah, is it just like the shell of the person that changes? Because we know they keep their intelligence, obviously, with the exception of Lupin.
I think they must change. Like, obviously, you're right. Being an animagus and being a werewolf are obviously completely different. But like,
Mm-hmm.
Lupin, like, falls prey to the instincts of the wolf, like immediately, right, and just is gonna hunt whoever and whatever. And so, if we're talking about like instincts, surely that comes from like your genetic makeup, just the way that your body functions without like rationalizing anything. So, if we put that onto the animagus, I imagine it will be the sense of smell, sensing, I don't know, the change in pressure of a tsunami, whatever it is. I feel like that's all just going to be part and parcel of the same. That would be my assumption anyway. And if I were going to go through that rigorous process of becoming an animagus and I didn't get those heightened senses, I'd be annoyed. I'd be so annoyed that I'd gone through all of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, not worth it. Not worth it.